Good morning, everyone. Today we're going to be talking about Meseta because a lot of people have been asking me, Caro, how do you get so much Meseta? Where do you farm for your Meseta? How do I get Meseta, especially as a free-to-play player, which does not have access to the shop? But before we jump into all of that, if you're new to the channel, I upload NGS content daily. So if you do play this game, I would really appreciate a subscribe as it really helps out the channel. Anyway, without further ado, let's begin the video. So the very first thing I want to clarify is if you are a free-to-play player, so you do not have premium. So when you press escape over here, premium expiration, if it just says like invalid or you don't have premium, then in order to sell items on the player shop, you actually need to use one of these personal shop use 3 days in order to just sell any item on the player shop. So I know a lot of people are enticed to farm for a wingguard weapon or farm for expensive capsules and sell them on the market. Well, if you're a fully free-to-play player, you cannot do that without the personal shop use 3 days. Now, you do get this every single month, so you get 3 days out of every single month, which is a little bit pitiful to be honest, but nevertheless, at least Sega is sort of throwing a bone and giving you access at the very least. At the very beginning of NGS, we didn't get this. Like, you just couldn't get this, and if you were not premium, you just could not sell items. So it's better than nothing, but obviously I would wish that Sega does change this and allow us to actually sell items more often as a free-to-play. But nevertheless, just understand if you are a free-to-play player, you do have this limitation. And because of this limitation, I'm going to be going over all of the ways to make just raw Meseta, which means you don't need to sell anything, you just get Meseta naturally. So what I want to point out is every single week for about 15 minutes of gameplay every single day, you can earn almost 1.9 million Meseta every single week. So just think about it. As a fully free-to-play player, you don't need the shop pass, you don't need to sell any items on the player market. You make raw Meseta 1.9 million per week. It's a substantial amount. And where are you making the bulk of this money? It's actually super simple. It's through your dailies. Like your dailies right here, complete daily tasks. And all you need to do in order to get 130,000 Meseta every single day is simply complete 4 daily tasks. Now, because there's currently an event, there's a lot of ways to complete your daily tasks. However, there are 4 specific ones that I do recommend people to do. First one is use a food stand because you get 1,000 Meseta. Then use a region mag, you get 1,000 Meseta. Then defeat 50 enemies in any combat sector, this also gives you 1,000 Meseta. And then the last daily is collection of some type of material. So today's is foraging some seafood, so I just need to get some seafood. Sometimes it's collecting a mineral, other times it's collecting a meat, sometimes it's collecting some fruits or some vegetables. It's very, very simple, and you can be done with these dailies in under 5 minutes very, very easily. And just by doing those 4 simple dailies, you get 134,000 Meseta every single day. That's very, very easy money. Now, if you multiply that by 7, because you do it every single day for the entire week, you get 938,000 Meseta. That's a good amount of money. That's almost 1 million Meseta every single week for 5 minutes of effort every single day. It is the easiest way to get a lot of Meseta. However, by doing your dailies, you are also completing your weeklies. As you can see over here, complete daily tasks level 1, as well as complete daily task level 2. So when you complete 25 different daily tasks, you automatically get an additional 100,000 Meseta every single week. However, it doesn't end there. There's also the enemy suppression where you kill 1,000 enemies. But remember, every single day you get the quest to kill 50 enemies. If you just kill those 50 and you kill a little bit more because, maybe you go to a low ranking area or you're farming for raw Meseta in a PSE combat zone, you're going to complete this one very, very easily. And boom, you get another 50,000 Meseta. Then the last one is just do any urgent quest at least 1 time throughout the entire week and you get another 50,000 Meseta. So your weeklies actually give you 200,000 Meseta for just completing 4 of these tasks. So enemy suppression, that's defeat 1,000 enemies. Do a single urgent quest sometime in the week, as well as complete your daily tasks. That's all you need to do in order to get an additional 200,000 Meseta. And the last daily activity I recommend everyone to do is collecting your daily valuables. These are valuables that respawn every single day. So you can collect 14 alpha reactors, 10 stellar fragments, as well as 10 snolls every single day. So they are actually in each region. So if you want to collect the alpha reactors, they're actually located in Central Alio. It's right here. As you can see, I'll put a little gem over here. There's alpha reactor number 1. There's another location right here, and finally over here. So there's 3 different locations for alpha reactors in Central Alio. You simply go there and you collect all of your alpha reactors. The next one is actually stellar fragments, and that's actually located in Retem. So you want to go to West Retem all the way up here at Sangam Mountain Road East. Once you teleport there, immediately look straight up. You're going to see a bunch of stellar fragments, 10 of them to be exact. You collect them. Then once you're done with that, then you're going to come to Central Kavaris. You're going to teleport to Mistral Woods North, get on that snowboard, and you're going to smash all of these snolls, and you're going to get all the way down here to around this area right here, and boom, you've collected 10 of your snolls. Now, some of you guys may be wondering, Caro, that was only 3 regions. What about the Stia region? The Stia region also has a bunch of valuables that you can also collect in Dracent Plant. However, I personally don't collect them simply because they are invisible boxes, and I don't like finding invisible boxes. However, obviously, if you collect these every single day, you will make even more money, up to about 2 million Meseta every single week, which, you know, that's a substantial amount. So that is definitely something you can look into. Now, remember, these valuables respawn every single day. So you want to make sure that once the daily resets, that you go out and you collect them. And look at that, you sell all of this. This is 104,000 Meseta. Now, obviously, if I collected the Stia region stuff, I would have even more. But nevertheless, I'm a little bit lazy, so I just sell all of that. Boom, 104,000 raw Meseta in my bank account. Super, super easy. So that is how the average player is going to make money, simply because it requires the least amount of time investment and the game respects your time up to that point. All right. So, you know, maybe you only have 15 minutes to play every day, 20 minutes to play every day. That should be your priority. Your daily, your weeklies, your valuables. Collect all of that. Once you're done with that, then you can do all the other different activities that you want to do. You know, maybe you want to farm PSE combat zones for Raw Meseta. Maybe you want to spam the limited time quest for some tickets. Whatever you want to do, you know, those are all second priority. Your first priority is always going to be your dailies, your weeklies, and your valuables. Simply because it gives you the most value for the least amount of time investment. Okay? Now, for my more ambitious friends that want to know about where the Dracent Plant, where the invisible boxes are, I will leave a video in the description below where I literally spent, I think, like 10 minutes to collect all of the valuables, and I show you all the locations of where they all are. So you can just check that video out that I made like almost a year ago, because the locations have not changed. Now, I want to address the elephant in the room. A lot of people are probably looking at my Meseta going like, all right, Caro, you have 100 million Meseta. If I make 2 million Meseta every single week, that's going to take me 50 weeks in order to make 100 million Meseta. That's like almost a year. So a lot of people are probably rolling their eyes going like, Caro, nobody can keep up with this economy by just doing their dailies and their weeklies. Even if I do make 2 million Meseta every single week, I can't buy the balloon bosoms that I want. I can't buy the expensive hairstyles that I want. There's a lot of things that I want to buy, but I don't make enough money fast enough. So what is the next step? The next step is going to be Raw Meseta farming in deck space. I know a lot of people don't want to hear this, but unfortunately, this is the harsh reality. Farming in deck space right now will net you roughly 2 million Meseta per hour. So if you're farming here and you have the stomach for it, you can just sit here and farm for many, many hours a day. What I recommend people to do is to pace themselves, similar to Dual Quest, where you log in, maybe you farm 1 hour a day in the PSE combat zone, and that's it. You know, you finish your 1 hour, you get your 2 million Meseta, and you bounce and you go do something else. I do not recommend people to sit here and farm for 8 hours, 10 hours, 12 hours every single day. You will burn yourself out. Yes, you're going to make a lot of Meseta very, very quickly. However, if you can't stomach it, don't force yourself to do it, because it does get incredibly boring. For me personally, I can stomach it for about 1 to 2 hours, maybe 3 hours tops. And then I need to change my activity. I need to do something else. I need to farm Dual Quest. I need to go do Dark Falls Daily. I have to just do something different, or else I just lose my mind here. However, you know, people are built different. If you can stomach it, deck space is going to be the best place to farm. Now, why deck space and why not any of the other combat zones? It's simply because the PSE burst in deck space lasts 10 seconds longer than any other region, which is why deck space is the best place to farm for Raw Meseta, because sometimes you may notice that you get a PSE Forte where all the mobs are golden. When they're golden, they drop a lot more Meseta per minion that you kill or per mob that you kill. And if it lasts 10 seconds longer, that simply gives you more time to kill more enemies to generate more raw Meseta. So that is why deck space is currently the #1 place to farm. However, that doesn't mean that you have to farm in deck space. You can farm in other combat zones. Let's say that you prefer Retem al Noth. You can farm in Retem al Noth as well. Just understand that it's just not going to be as efficient as farming in deck space, simply because the PSE burst doesn't last as long. Alright? And last but not least, I do need to talk about the player market because this is a very good way to make a lot of Meseta. However, just understand if you're a fully free-to-play member, you need to pop your 3-day shop pass in order to sell these items on the player shop. So what I recommend the average player to do, especially if you're free-to-play, is you need to farm up a stockpile of items beforehand so that when you pop your 3-day shop pass, you make 10 million, 20 million, 30 million Meseta in those 3 days. Now keep in mind that even after your shop pass runs out, your items are still going to remain on the marketplace. So if we look over here and I go to run personal shop and I go to withdraw from inventory, you're going to see there are a bunch of items that I put up on the market over here. So these items, even if my shop pass expires, these items will remain on the player market. So that is something that you can definitely take advantage of, because let's say that you get a very high value item. Maybe you get a Wingguard weapon to drop. You know, Wingguard weapons aren't going to sell instantaneously unless you sell them at an incredibly low price. So let's say, for example, you got a Wingguard katana, congratulations. But if you look at the marketplace, you can see, oh, you know, the prices weren't going as nice as before. You know, it's not like 50 million, the prices are going down and people are undercutting each other. What you can do, it's sort of a gamble, but what you could do is you can place it at like 40 million. And be like, yeah, that's the bottom line. You know, I want to make 40 million on this Wingguard katana, and you can just put it up on 40 million, and even after your 3-day shop pass expires, that Wingguard katana will stay on the market for 40 million. And if anyone buys it, you will automatically receive the money. All you need to do is you go to personal shop over here and then view sales, and you'll be able to collect any Meseta that you earned from selling items on the player shop. So selling items on the player shop is also a great way to make money. However, just understand that you need to put in the time to prepare all of the items that you want to sell before popping your 3-day shop pass. If you pop your 3-day shop pass and just like go farm and just hope that you get lucky, you're gonna waste that 3-day shop pass. As a free-to-play, you need to understand the value of the 3-day shop pass is incredibly high. If you can't make at least 10 million from popping that 3-day shop pass, I recommend just holding onto the shop pass until you get enough items that is worth collectively 10 million Meseta before popping it. That way you get the most bang out of your buck. Alright, so with that being said, what items should you be farming? I would recommend capsules. For example, the Mega Trial capsule. This is going for about 100,000, 110, 120,000. You know, think of it in your brain, say like, all right, I'm gonna put this price at 100,000. So how many of these Mega Trials am I gonna need to farm in order to make 10 million? So we use some simple math. 10 million divided by 10,000 equals 100. So we're going to need to farm 100 of these Mega Trial capsules before it's worth popping our 3-day shop pass. So boom, now you have a goal. Now you have a very clear image of, all right, so I need to farm 100 of these Mega Trials. So how am I going to do that? And then you formulate a plan, and that's what you do. Now, I do recommend farming for capsules, especially because capsules sell a lot quicker, especially when you sell at the more reasonable prices. So in our case, you know, we were aiming for 100,000. However, also keep in mind that the market does take a cut. They take a 10% cut. So this is the Sega tax. So make sure to take into account the Sega tax, simply because, you know, our original goal of making 10 million, if you sell 100 of these capsules at 100,000 Meseta, you will only receive 9 million Meseta and not 10 million because of the Sega 10% tax. So that is something that you do need to keep in mind. Now, I often get asked, Kero, why don't you ever recommend people to sell Gland Gigas Maste, Lux Hal Finale, regular Gigas Maste, Gladius Soul, like all of these high-end capsules? Why don't you ever encourage people to farm for these items and sell them? It's simply because in order to make Gland Gigas Maste, in order to make regular Gigas Maste, you need to do dual quest. And in order to do dual quest, you need to make a separate set of gear. A lot of people are not willing to sacrifice their current gear and make a different set of gear. As we can see over here, when I go to my loadouts, I have a set of gear for Dual Quest Phase 1, a different set for Dual Quest Phase 2, another set for Dual Quest Phase 3, and finally a fourth set for Dual Quest Phase 4. I have 4 different sets of armors and sets of weapons. This is quite the investment, especially considering that you need to augment them as well, and you need to throw all of the different Defi capsules. So Phase 3 Defi capsules only work for Dual Quest Phase 3. If we look at Dual Quest Phase 2, you need the Phase 2 Defi capsules, so that's another different set of augments. And then with Dual Quest Phase 1, you also need a different set. You need the Phase 1 Defi capsules. So the majority of players are not willing to reinvest, to re-enhance a different set of armor, to re-enhance a different weapon, and slap on all of these augments, because the average player will not be able to clear Dual Quest without any of this specialized gear, especially Dual Quest 1, 2, and 3. Even with my gear, like my endgame gear, I cannot clear Dual Quest Phase 1, Phase 2, and Phase 3 and get an S rank, simply because the bosses there are scaled in the assumption that you have the Defi capsules. These Defi capsules are incredibly powerful. They give you 7% potency per capsule. However, these capsules only work in Dual Quest. So this is a huge kick in the nuts and a huge barrier to entry for a lot of players. You're already struggling with making your normal gear. You want all of this Meseta so that you can upgrade your regular gear. And I'm telling you over here that, hey, in order to run this, in order to farm for these high value capsules, you're going to need to reinvest into a different set of gear just to run this singular piece of content. Because remember, these Defi capsules don't work anywhere else. They only work in Dual Quest, and they only work in their specific phase. So Dual Quest Phase 1 needs its specific Phase 1 gear, Phase 2 needs its Phase 2 gear, Phase 3 needs its Phase 3 gear, and Phase 4 needs its Phase 4 gear. So it's an absolute kick in the nuts, pain in the butt, and it's a huge investment, and I don't recommend the average player to do it unless they are willing to invest, and a lot of people are not willing to do that.
Special thanks to all the members for supporting the channel. It really means a lot to me. Thank you again.
But yeah, that's all I wanted to cover in today's video. Hopefully you guys found it helpful. If you did, I would appreciate a like and a subscribe, and I'll see you guys in tomorrow's video. Bye.